Welcome to Potentials. This is Lígia, and we have Ed Kabursky back on the show today. We're going to talk about rainbow light bodies and meditation and all kinds of interesting stuff off of the chart, off of the Great Awakening chart. So let's get started, and I'm going to try to pull it up while you're talking, Ed. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on again. It's fantastic to be with everyone. But today is a little bit different because I'm not the expert on any of this stuff. As a matter of fact, Lígia is. So we're going to let her do most of the talking today. But it's very, very interesting. And it is on the Great Awakening chart that she's just bringing up right now. And if you look down in the, you can see meditation right there. I think if you, don't go too close because it gets blurry, actually.
Yeah, so it's because I had to screenshot it, and
yeah, that's okay. But right there is good. So it kind of shows us where everything is on the chart, and there's a whole number of 11 points that I wrote down here, and we're going to go through them one by one. And Lígia's going to talk mostly about it because I'm learning everything from this. She brought up some really beautiful chakra charts, and we're going to go through those a little bit. And I was learning everything just before the show tremendously from her. So she's going to be the expert today. So I think the first thing that we're going to talk about is raising your vibration. And nice. I just want to say, I just want to explain something to people, that people get densities and dimensions mixed up, and we have to separate that. Raising one's vibrations, what we're doing is we're increasing our DNA frequency, essentially. So as you move your vibrations up and up and up, it's very counterintuitive because you actually have to become a lot calmer to raise your vibrations and frequencies. When I first learned about it, I thought, well, yeah, you just get yourself all hyped up and excited and everything, but it's totally the opposite of that. So but the thing with densities is that is your actual frequency of yourself, of your DNA. And the dimension is something completely different. We live in a dimension, which is this entire creation that we're in. So that could be considered dimension versus a density. So
it's like the difference between frequency and vibration, right?
Yeah, well, frequency and vibration are the same thing. It's just that the frequency is just a different wavelength, essentially, right? It's still, there's still all waves actually in the long run. Like when we look at subquantum kinetics, everything is actually wave motion at the very beginning of everything, and then it's built upon past that. So what do you think about that? The frequencies?
Frequencies, I guess I always think of frequencies as sound.
Yeah.
Which vibrations are sound too, but they're also a feeling. I guess you can feel frequencies as well.
Yeah.
But to me, it's more of a, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Anybody out there know that? Because you can, I don't know. I don't know. To me, it feels like there could be a difference between the two. I don't know.
Okay. That's interesting. Maybe we'll have to dig into that a little bit more deeper and try and figure out more about that. Yeah. But essentially, you're raising your vibrations is the whole idea behind the chart that's behind her there, the Great Awakening. We're here to raise our vibrations, and then the planet is doing the same thing. So eventually we're going to get into a 5D situation, which 5D is just fifth density. And that just means that everyone on the planet and the planet itself is actually at much higher frequencies. And at these higher densities, we have a lot more powers. We even have them now, but most people...
Yeah, we have more access to them. They're easier to access.
Yeah, but most people don't know how to. You have to be tuned. It's like tuning. When I do speakers, we have to tune them. It's the same thing with psychics. I think they really have to become accustomed and tune themselves, and that will help them eventually get to the point where they can meditate in different ways. And
It's like a
everybody has a
muscle.
different way. Yeah, that's right.
Like a
Yeah,
muscle that you flex, and the more you work that muscle, the stronger it gets, right? Otherwise it atrophies. And we've atrophied. So we have to, like, also we've been blocked. It's like if you don't get enough nutrition, how are you going to even build muscle to begin with, right? So the
right.
problem is that we're in a density right now that where it tends to be blocked, where those you can't use, it's hard to use your muscles because you've never used them to begin with. They've been blocked.
Yeah.
They want you using them, so they try to, from the time you're a child, put you in situations where you can't.
Do you think in the future, as we raise the vibrations of the planet, that everybody's gonna come up essentially?
I think the blocks will be removed. Blocks
Yeah,
won't be there, so it'll be easier for someone to just pick it up quicker.
yeah,
It's like
uh,
nowadays, kids can learn anything pretty much so much faster than a couple generations ago because now you have access to information that you didn't have. So now they can go online and watch and learn how to play an instrument so much faster than we had the ability to. So it'll be something like that. It'll be more like that.
yeah. So technology is kind of helping us move along
The
as
training
long
wheel.
as, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The training wheels. Yeah, that's a really great way to. Is that Smoky?
Yes. Climbs up with me whenever I have a podcast. He likes to sit right next to me and just hang out and purr, which is nice.
So
Gives me nice energy.
he's digging the high vibrations then.
He is. He's digging the
That
high vibration.
is
I'm,
so cool.
yeah.
In further podcasts, we're going to reveal some information about cats that I recently found out, and it's pretty interesting to say the least, right, Lígia?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll check that out. So the next one is peace, joy, and um, so what do you think about that? I mean, that's where we need to get to, right? That's
Peace,
the
joy, and what's the other thing? Or just peace, joy?
equanimity, peace, joy.
Equanimity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
pronounce it right now.
Being on the
So
same level, being on the same, having the same, like having the same vibe, basically, is the best
yeah,
way to put it, I guess. Where everybody's pretty much not violent, you know, like a non-violent, peace-loving society that's harmonic, where we're equanimity kind of
harmonic.
like,
You just
implies
nailed. Yeah,
harmony.
you just nailed it when you said harmonic, because that's
Yeah,
totally what it is. And
right.
we were describing a little bit more about my home, um, Arcturus, which is actually the model for the 5D Earth, essentially. So as we raise our vibrational levels, we're looking towards Arcturus to sort of get to that point, and
Mm.
that's what's going to happen in the future, and is happening with everyone now, because they're like waves that start in different places with different people, and everyone's at a different point in all of this big
Right.
adventure, right?
Well, there's also different other star systems and as we get to know our star family and all of the different star groups that are out there that we've been isolated from, and we get to see how well they live together, how harmonic they are. I mean, even
Yeah.
like this book that I'm reading right now, Beyond the Light Barrier, which
Wow.
I'm gonna teleport.
Watch this, folks. Look at that.
Disappear.
Lígia's a
I bilocated. No, I didn't.
yeah, she just bilocated, but the reason why she can do that is she was a Jedi in past life.
Still a
And
Jedi.
there's
I'm still a
yeah,
Jedi
yeah,
in my
exactly.
sleep.
Sorry.
In
Sorry.
my sleep, I'm a Jedi. Okay, so
She's actually the last Jedi. If you guys ever watched the Star Wars movie, so watch this again. Boop,
okay, so
she's gone.
so yes, I'm Ray. So anyway, this is a very good book. It's called Beyond the Light Barrier by Elizabeth Clare. Um, Elena Denon recommended it at the end of The Cedars, and so
Yeah,
I got it, and it is amazing. You will love this book. If you're into this stuff, you will love it because it's about a woman who meets a man from Proxima Centauri and ends up,
Wow.
being his wife and having his children while she's still here on Earth. He comes to visit,
Wow.
and it's just a beautiful story of a love story. And he tells her all kinds of information. She goes on his ship and she learns all kinds of information and really sees some gorgeous things. And it's gives you hope when you read it, that this is what we could be. It's what we could have
Yeah.
been, and you can get mad about it and say,
Yeah.
we could have had this, and yes, we could have, and I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm frustrated too that we had this all
Was
stolen and taken from us. But
taken.
let's
Yeah.
focus on the fact that we can still have it, and it will still
Correct.
happen.
Yeah.
And if we're lucky enough to stick around, we'll get to see it here. If we're not going to stick around, then wherever we go back to is going to have this anyway. So you can look at it that
Exactly.
way. But
Exactly. Yeah.
it's awesome. It's just the stuff, the way they live, their lifestyle, how much they are in harmony with each other. They're just relaxed. I guess that's the best way to put it. They have like a relaxed, kind of like happy vibe to them. They're not
So,
worried
so
about anything.
like,
They're not stressed,
like,
Opposite.
so like chill kind of. They're just,
Yeah, they're just like, they don't have any worries. Just imagine if when you were a child, if you had a good childhood and you didn't have a lot of worries and you didn't have things to like worry about the bills or about what you were going to do, and you
yeah,
could just go out and play, it's the same kind of vibe where,
same vibe.
yeah.
I'm picking up on chill space bunnies actually, because
Well,
because
that's the
Andrea, right?
Canadians.
Yes.
They're space bunnies, but they're not always like, the thing is that, I've been accused of being a little giggly, which I am sometimes when I'm feeling that vibe, when I'm just in a happy vibe where I'm feeling, like nothing can happen to me that's going to be
Yeah.
bad. I just know that intuitively, I know that nothing bad is going to happen. And as
Yeah.
long as you stay in that vibe, you can be really happy and really silly and not worry about things, and not let those little things that, or big things even that could possibly happen, come into your thought bubble a lot, because
Yeah.
as long as you don't keep it and hold it in there, and they're going to come in from time to time. You're going to have these thoughts that wander in, and just like an unwanted guest, you show them the door, right? So
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to entertain them, and you just go, okay, I see that you wandered in. I guess I didn't have my shield up. Well, go on out. I don't consent to any of that. And you just go on with thinking the way you need to think to survive in this world right now.
That consent thing was a super major point, because that's something that Elena Denon brings up, the fact that we're being lied to, and but we consent to it by not, or by not stopping it, essentially. Like
Right,
we have to stand up and get our sovereignty and say no. And that's
right.
what essentially what you're talking about there, which is so
Yep,
cool, right? Yeah.
yep, exactly. And a lot of it begins with the way you're thinking about things and the way,
So we go into the next one, and I know you have lots of opinion about this, and it actually probably leads into it quite well. The law of karma.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we had a conversation about this one. Like, you sure you want to do karma? Because
I know,
I'm
right?
so sure I believe in karma. I don't know. I'm not going to say one way or another, because I try not to have any strongly held beliefs, right? I try not to like say this is the way it is, because I don't know.
You're
So that's
open
why I'm
to
saying with
things.
karma, I don't know. It may not be. It may exist, it may not exist. I just personally think that it's kind of been used against us as a way
Yeah.
to keep us here in a prison, to keep us
Yeah.
imprisoned in this mindset, in this what we think we're in, where if you were bad or you did something wrong, when you pass, and if you go to the light, which I don't recommend you doing, stay away from
That's
that, because it's
that's
just a
right.
hologram and they're just trying to talk you into coming back, as far as I understand. And I'm going to stick with
Correct.
that because I'm not going to take any chances. So don't go to the light, don't go to the holograms, don't go to the people that look like they're your family, because that's not really them, it's just a holograph, and you know what that is. So just they're going to try to talk you into coming back because you did something wrong. Oh,
Yeah.
see what you did to that person, you really messed up there, you're gonna have to go back and fix it. But you're not going to remember it, and you're not going to know why you went back. You're just going to go back and fix it somehow.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No. It doesn't make sense
Yeah.
to me. Like, if it makes
Yeah.
sense to you, fine, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, if that's you, fine, you can believe that. But I personally don't want to believe that, and I'm not going to, and I'm not going to come back here and be told that I need to make up for anything that, because I know that in general, I was a good person. I may
Yeah.
have made a few mistakes. I may have hurt somebody's feelings here or there, but never intentionally. I never
Yeah.
intentionally tried to hurt anyone.
Yeah.
So as long as that's what you've done and you've lived most of your life, and even if you did intentionally hurt someone, if you tried to make amends for it in this lifetime, and you were able to before
Yeah.
you pass, then you don't have any bad karma that you need to come back and fix. And if
Yeah.
you've done anything before in past lives, they can't hold that against you, because you kept coming back because you were lied to come
Yeah.
back. You were told you had to come back so that they could use your energy, so that they
Yeah.
could, use your energy for their purposes. So you just have to, and when I say there, I mean the dark side, the dark forces,
Yeah.
the powers that used to be. Um,
Correct.
so I'm not, that's what I'm saying. So don't, you know, whatever you believe and whatever your faith is, I get it. I'm not trying to diss you in any sort of way, but this is personally for me. This is what I believe in, what I'm gonna do, and that's what I think of karma. So
So I have something to add, because when my heart stopped and I was beamed aboard my ship, um, we're the only ones that essentially look at what we did. Like, we judge ourselves. No one else judges us, and that's kind of what you just said. And I know that to be the fact because I went through the whole thing, right? And I can totally remember the fact that um, it's only us that judges ourselves, and that should always be. We should never judge anybody else, actually, for
right,
what they do,
and nobody
because
else should judge us.
exactly, yeah, because we don't know what level or what happened to them, or what the circumstances were. But with everything that's happened on Terra for the last thousands and thousands of years, where they've had control of things, you're right. We're lied to and we're brought back constantly. So what we're supposed to do, my understanding is, like you said, don't go towards the light. You're actually supposed to turn around and look at the universe, and then ask to go home, and you'll be taken back. Like in my case, it would be Arcturus. In your case, it would be the Pleiades, right? So we're taken back. And I know that there's a Stargate from Earth to Arcturus that people use through life and death. That's how they come back and forth. And I also know that Arcturians are very skilled in people that really bad stuff that's happened to them, whether it be something with children or whatever. That's usually where the soul would go, because the Arcturians are so good at taking that away from them and releasing everything so that they can go back and do their next incarnation.
Right.
Oh, you disappeared again.
Oh, sorry.
So the next one actually is got to do with you disappearing there, because it's astral travelers. Astral
Ooh.
travelers. No, yeah.
Now
That's
disappear
awesome. Oh,
again. I did that.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
I like to.
So you astral travel, I'm sure. I don't can't say that I do.
I can't. I don't know. I think I have. I don't have any. I'm not as good as people that I know that do. Like, you know what I mean? I do more lucid dreaming, which we'll get
Okay.
into. Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually
that's
the next
more.
subject.
Yeah, that's more my skill. Yeah, my skill
Yeah.
set.
So astral travelers, so when Andrea has gone and looked at certain things for me, is that what she's doing?
Um, there's different things. If she's using her psychic mediumship, it is kind of more like remote viewing.
Okay.
It's more like they're not astral, their astral body isn't necessarily there.
Ah, it's just their
It's more,
consciousness. It's
it's just
just their consciousness.
they're putting their consciousness there, and it kind of, I have another friend that you've seen on my show, Zoe, where she says
Yeah,
it's like a movie that shows in front of her. It's like a movie that plays right in front of her eyes where she can see things like.
because that movie would really be the Akashic records of what we're trying to look at too, wouldn't it?
Maybe, yeah, that's possible. It's almost, could be almost like a hologram, or
Yeah,
like
that's what it is.
Kenobi, you're my only hope, like that hologram.
Yeah, there'll be lots of references to The Last Jedi and some of these movies because we've been talking about some
Star
of this stuff.
Wars, because that was the original one, yeah.
Yeah, because Star Wars is actually the Orion Wars. It's this Star Wars is a depiction of what happened, truly happened.
It's a
And
documentary, yeah, on
yeah, it's a documentary.
yeah.
And we recently found out, pretty sure that all three of us, you, me, and Andrea, were all back in Lyra back in the day. So we would have saw what happened, all the Star Wars stuff. So
Which
we've
is
been
why I don't
watching.
like watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been watching the movies, and a lot of things have been very synchronous with us watching these movies, like to say the least. It's amazing, actually. But it is a true depiction, and Elena Dawn does talk about that on
Yeah.
her shows as well. So this one is your specialty then, lucid dreams.
Yeah. Lucid dreams are more of a dream that you can control. You're in the dream and you can decide, I'm going to turn left here or right here. You know what I mean? You can control what happens in the dream.
Wow.
So, or you can see well, I mean, I don't always see myself like as a separate entity. I see myself like I see my own hands, my own feet, like I'm there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can try to zoom in on things if I'm trying to like focus on, oh, what's that over there? I can zoom in on it for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't, but like that kind of thing. Or if I'm asked, sometimes I ask to be shown something. I want to
Right.
see something I particularly want to see. And then that night when I go to bed, before I wake up in the morning, and then that
Okay.
theta, I guess it's theta, where you're in between wake and sleep.
So
That's when I have those kind of dreams.
so it
Yeah.
happened. So you ask before you go to sleep, or that day or whatever, and then it happens right sort of as you're kind of waking up, is it, or kind of
Usually
in that?
it's right before I wake up, or sometimes it can be right as I'm falling asleep, but usually it's right before I wake up.
Okay, cool. So would that be considered like astral traveling, or would it be considered more like remote viewing, like you just said? Because you
I feel
saw
like
your body, you saw your hands, you said, right?
yeah, I feel like it's more like remote viewing. I don't feel like it's astral travel. I think
Okay.
astral travel is with astral travel, from what I understand, it's your astral body. It's not your consciousness as much as it's an astral. It's like that body that there's like three bodies, like there's your physical avatar, there's your
Yeah.
astral body, and then there's your oversoul or your spirit body or something.
So is that oversoul considered the consciousness then?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, that actually sounds exactly right. And don't we have a friend that does astral traveling? Doesn't Evan? Is
Yeah,
that
oh,
that's
it does.
that's
Yeah,
exactly what he does, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that is so cool. Yeah.
that's definitely cool.
Um, the next one is Star Merkaba, and I know a little bit about, but yeah, there you go.
I have it. Where is it? I'm wearing one. They're all caught and with each other. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it,
Yeah.
but it's a crystal Merkaba.
Wow.
So it is two pyramids embedded in each other, kind of,
Yeah.
you know. So and the Merkaba is it's Merkaba, which means, trying to remember, something light body um vehicle.
Oh,
Light
okay.
body vehicle. So it's the vehicle that you travel in when you are astrally projecting, or when you're in your consciousness.
Okay, so it
It's
could be both, because I was going to say, is it your soul? So it's your soul that's projecting. So
yeah.
that's your consciousness, right?
Yeah, but I think it could, I think that your astral body can also do it. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'm
No,
not
that's good.
sure about that yet, to be honest. I haven't done enough research on it, but I
Legia
find
will
it interesting
Legia
that,
will do research on it now, I bet.
yeah, I know. I don't, whenever I
Interesting.
talk to people, I've talked to a few people who've actually seen their Merkaba. So they've actually seen what they travel in, and they didn't know that's what it was. They said,
Wow.
one person said it was it was like a coffin. And I'm like, really? But no, but it was clear and it was full of light. And I'm like, I don't think that was a coffin.
No, exactly.
I think you were in your Merkaba, but you just didn't know. And it was somebody who I just met who didn't had this dream of traveling in this, and he didn't know what it was, and
Oh yeah.
he wondered if I could help him. And so I told him I think that's what it was. And he's just like,
Um,
whoa, that's crazy.
what I know is I did meditations with Lena, Thorhan, and Annex, and their Orion or Ahuran meditations. And one of the things that you learn is to build your Merkaba around you, and they tell you exactly what points, and because there's,
Mhm.
like you said, there's an angle up here, and there's one going the other
It's a
way a
pyramid.
little.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
pyramid. Yeah.
And then after you do that, then you're taught to use that to, like you just said, to project yourself and do these things. And then after that, they said that it doesn't necessarily have to be that shape. It can be whatever shape you want. And
Hmm.
then once you're trained past that point, you can just do it. And so it's something I'm pretty sure that you probably use. I'm positive that you use some kind of a vessel of your own making, or maybe it is the Merkaba.
Hmm.
What do you think about that?
I would think it would be the Merkaba. Also because I visualized it, and I think that once you start visualizing it to be a certain shape, that's what you are comfortable with.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
um,
and
the way I even learned about it was because that's what it was shaped like, a pyramid, like, two pyramids that
yeah,
fit together, and one turned clockwise and one turned counterclockwise,
yeah,
and
that's
that's
right.
how you travel, is within
Yeah,
that, embedded
yeah.
inside your
They're
consciousness.
very, very, very interesting. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and more, and we should probably dig in a little bit more because there's a lot more to all of the Merkaba stuff, I'm sure.
Oh
So we can
yeah,
do
it's
that
very
later.
interesting. It's very, very interesting. Yeah.
So now we have, and I know that you have some pictures of, so we're going to do
Oh,
the chakras.
okay. Well,
And yeah, no worries. And yeah, I'll just keep talking. And I actually can't really talk much because I don't know very much about it at all. But this morning we went through some of these and it was fascinating.
are we
Um,
talking about the chakra points?
yeah, yeah, the
Oh,
chakra points.
well, this is one of them. This is one that I just found online that shows that there could possibly be 12 chakras. But most people are only aware of 7 chakras.
Yeah,
Some people were saying there could be 9, but this shows 12. And then it
this
shows
one shows 11 actually. This one
Oh,
does
11. Oh, right. There's another one that shows 12 that I'm going to
12.
show
Yeah,
after this.
yeah,
But this
yeah,
gives all the different locations of where they are and then what they're connected to. So the ones that they're showing that we're not normally familiar with are the one kind of between the knees there, and that's
yeah.
infrared. It's infrared and it's called the omega. And
Mm.
It's related to the notes C and E on the
Yes.
musical scale. So then there's the 10th chakra, which is Terra, otherwise
Great.
another word for earth, right? And it's silver, and it's related to the notes C and D. And that would be an octave lower than the C above, where the
Right.
infrared is. And
Right.
then above the head, we have, well, we already are aware of the crown chakra, that's number 7. But number 9 is being shown as alpha, gold, or alpha ultraviolet. And it
Okay.
is related to the notes B and G. And
Okay.
then the one above that is the angelic chakra, which is gold, and that's 11.
Yeah.
They're saying that's the 11th chakra, and it's related to the notes B and A. Now, I don't know if this is true. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. If anybody is interested, don't shoot the messenger. Could be true. I'm open to all kinds of ideas and thoughts, and I just like to put things out there. So I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting, and I'm just putting it out there. So
Yeah. And
um,
is there another one
you
there that you're
did
going to
what
show?
you may, and I'm going to put another one.
Yeah.
One shows the 12 chakras, and it shows what they represent as well as the colors and um, where they're located. So
I like this one a lot. Yeah.
you want to screenshot that, feel free to. That the interesting thing is that the one that they didn't show on the other one, that they're showing on this one, is the connection to Earth
Yeah.
at the very bottom. And in the next one I'm
Very.
going to show
Yeah.
you, it calls it the base chakra. Base chakra. This one calls it the Earth Star chakra.
And
So
the top one, because I noticed this when you brought it up earlier today for me, I really took notice to the top one where it says spiritual enlightenment.
right,
And what does it say? Your picture's in the way. What does it say on the other side of that?
divine gateway chakra.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. And the one right below it is the galactic chakra.
Oh, so the red one is galactic
Yeah.
chakra?
Well, it says prophecy on the left, but on the right it says galactic chakra. And then the
Well,
one below that says universal chakra, universal flow of energy.
yeah,
So yeah, so all of those are the ones that are kind of not being shown on the typical. Then there's one even below that is higher consciousness, soul star chakra. I don't think that's related to the crown. So they're putting all of the other ones above, and then the one below as calling it the 12 chakra star system or
right.
system.
And do you see see there was an oval shape around that? And I was just thinking that that Merkaba that you have
Mm.
that's your shape, so that would be the shape that you would go with.
Oh,
Where
like
you,
kind of in this one, like in this one.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yep,
Right.
there it
Like
is.
it's an egg shape. Like I've heard some people say that their Merkaba is egg shaped, and that's possible too, because some people travel in spheres,
Yep.
and that's also another way. It doesn't have to
From
be
from the meditations that I did with them, they taught us how to create your Merkaba around you and then use it as a vessel. But again, they told us that after that you can make it any shape that you want, essentially. So
right.
whatever's comfortable. But the egg is kind of neat because it just shows that it encompasses everything,
Hmm.
including the last one, which is the ground, the one that is Terra.
Right.
Um, we have to understand that we are connected to our planetary matrix, and
Yeah.
everyone that comes in is our souls are connected to it. And but as star seeds, we come in, we're connected somewhere else, but when we come in, we still have to have that connection with Terra as well. So you're right. There has to be a direct
That,
connection with Terra,
and that's what
always.
the base chakra is right there, the 10th chakra,
Yeah.
the connection. And then above they have 11 and 12, mind over matter, universal unity, and that's the 11th and 12th chakra.
Oh, okay. So that's the one that I this morning I got a lot excited about when I said
Right.
universal unity, because we were having a discussion last time about Arcturus and we are the Arcturians. And that's one thing about our society is, it's very, there's a oneness with everything. So that's kind of what it's saying there. It's sort of this, when I saw that, it just totally triggered me, and I
Yeah.
remembered back, right, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
that's great. And the other ones, mind over matter, seat of the soul, time transcendence, and connection to spirit, which is 8, which is where we are when we get beyond time space. That's the 8th
Right,
chakra. So that's where
right.
we're moving to next. That's the direction that we're moving to when we reach 5th density. We're trying to get to that point where we transcend time. We're not trapped in the time space bubble anymore.
Yep,
So that'll be an interesting. It's good to have those chakras open and
right.
be open to having them.
So, so, because everyone meditates differently. I do it completely different than most people. I have a really awesome stereo, and I use the sound frequencies to put me into the state. And I can meditate, or I can read books. I've read books from cover to cover by doing that, but it just puts me into that state. But so how do you meditate? Describe how you do it.
Well, I've got different types of meditation that I like to do. I don't do just one certain kind.
Okay.
Um, so it really depends on the moment and how I'm feeling in the moment. So, which I feel like anybody could do this. But, if I feel like I might need to, just in the moment, I feel like I just want to go for a walk, and I'll go for a walk in nature and just walk around and,
Yeah.
you know, touch a few trees or lean up against a few trees.
Or
Sometimes
hug
I'll
a couple trees.
hug them, yes. And just get their beautiful energy, because of course, I ask permission first. You don't just go up to hug someone that you don't know, right?
Oh,
So
so
you,
you ask,
yeah, I
wow.
ask permission. Is it okay if I hug you? And they always say yes. But like it's just a respect thing. I
Yeah,
respect nature. I respect just like I
because
would
you're,
respect any creature. I respect it. I respect an animal, a wild animal. I respect a
yeah,
tame animal. Anything you want to treat it with some kind of acknowledgement and respect. Like, thank you for being here.
yeah.
Thank you for giving me this beautiful energy. Just gratitude. Approach it with gratitude and appreciation.
That's
And
amazing.
then you get this beautiful energy from it, and then that energy transcends to everything else, and you can give that energy to others. So it's like a transfer. It's like a symbiotic.
So you essentially go out and get all charged up, and then you're able to go into high priestess mode.
This is fun.
Sorry, I needed to do that. But that's
Yes, you
kind of what
do.
it is. The kind of what it is, though, isn't it? Like
Well,
you're,
yes, yeah. I mean, it's just sort of that's how I become a conduit. Yeah,
yeah,
because I'm getting filled up with
yeah,
energy from
yeah,
the source, which is source gives the energy to nature, because
right,
they're so connected. Earth, even Earth, the Earth itself, the ground, everything is connected to energy, is connected to source. There's energy inside the ground,
absolutely,
energy in the air, and so we're conduits walking around, all the time. So
yeah,
it's just we're collecting energy. We're energy collectors. So we're out collecting energy all the time. That's all we do. We collect good and bad energy, you know.
right, right,
And so it's kind of in a world of polarity like the one that we live in, we kind of have to have
yeah,
both energies. Or, if you don't have even some base energies, even some darker energies, you're going to die. Because
well,
we're in
yeah,
a world of
balance.
polarity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we have to be in balance. Yeah,
you have to be
exactly.
in balance. You have to. And so if you
Yeah,
have a little bit of both, and you're closer to the center point, that's where you're at your best, where maintain your health, is to have like just a little bit of both. You don't have to hoard all the energy. You don't have to be an energy hoarder. You just sit around. I'm going to go collect some energy and then just sit around and not do anything for anybody all day. I'm just going to
yeah. I'm just gonna keep it all. Oh, you just disappeared.
keep it all to myself. Nobody gets that energy.
Oh my
Not
goodness.
good. You have to give it, you have to, give a little bit too. So it's like a love when you gather all this love into your heart chakra, because that's the number one chakra in that chart that we saw.
Yes,
It was
that's
the
right.
chakra number one is the heart, because that's the most important one, because that's what you give and take from. You give your love from your heart, and you
Right.
receive love from others into your heart.
Through your
So,
heart. Yeah.
you know, even when I was a little kid, and when you're raised in a religious atmosphere and you're Christian or whatever, you gave your heart to Jesus.
Right.
You gave your heart to him, right? So that was the most important thing. That was the key. You're giving your heart,
Yeah.
keep that heart portal open so that you can give and receive, because you need to
Right.
receive love too. You can't just all give, give, give and not receive any love back, because
Right.
you're gonna shrivel up and die.
And you can have heart blocks, because we've talked about that, because that's something that came up in my Akashic readings, the last one with Rebecca. And I think even Andrea probably had something to say about that too.
Your heart
So
gets clogged. Your heart gets clogged. It's like a pipe. It's because we're conduits, right?
yeah,
So our, like your arteries get clogged when you eat too many fatty foods or whatever. You eat too
yeah,
much things that are bad for you. It's just like your heart. When you have too much bad crap in your heart gets clogged, your heart portal gets clogged, and then you can't give or take because it's clogged.
right,
So that's where the blocks are, and that's why you have to open that portal by cleansing it. You have to clean it. And
right,
so cleansing comes from um, different energy work, that and also just getting rid of a lot of the negative things that you've held on to,
yeah.
the negative baggage and memories and things, that residual things that you've held on to, that you have to let go of, so that you can allow the good, happy things to come.
So I can safely say that everything that she said is absolutely true, because in the last couple of days, um, I've gone through some things that Lígia knows about. And yeah, you have to, like you said, you have to open your heart up before you can receive love. So it's, yeah, I get it. And it is, and everybody's kind of, we're still like, everybody's at a different point, and that's the other thing too, right? We have to understand that everybody's always at a different point in all of this, just like
Right.
within life, but also with all of these things, because a bunch of years ago, I didn't even know what chakras were,
Well,
really.
yeah, and you don't need to know words, really. They're just
No,
words, they're just terms. I mean, because some people call them meridians, because
right.
it depends on what practice you have and what culture you're from, or language is just language. As long as you get the actual concept, you understand the concepts of it. That's the most important thing.
Of energy flowing, of energy.
Energy flowing, and then
Yeah,
also the self-love, because you have to feed. It's like a toroidal field. You have to feed your self-love too. You have to love
gotcha.
yourself. If you
Right.
don't, if you can't even accept yourself and love yourself, how are you going to be able to feed anybody else that love?
Yeah, yeah. And it's safe to say again that the last couple of days you've helped me through quite a bit of that, because I went through quite a bit of trauma, and we talked about it the one day for sure. And it took a little while, but like it was almost like a renewal, or almost being like Andrea said, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing, and it was all because of you providing your energies, and
Well, thank you.
knowing. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
I'm
It's
very
awesome.
appreciative of that. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
she's definitely the real OG.
Oh man. Well, thanks.
Okay.
I'm glad that you're feeling better. That's the most important thing.
Oh yeah, and for me it was I was missing my family. I didn't know
Mm.
where my family was, and that's like I think it was today actually that she had a lot to say about that, and we'll talk more about that later, because
Well, a lot of us starseeds have abandonment issues. You know,
oh,
A lot
Okay.
of us do, because we feel like we were dropped here and left by our star families
I
to
never, okay, I
abandon.
never thought about that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah. See, she is the real OG. Um, the next one is really interesting because it's the higher mind.
Hmm.
That is your higher self, some people will say. Is that correct?
Um, yes, and source. Yeah. Because our
So,
higher mind is connected to source. So yeah,
right. Yeah. So there's a direct connection to source through our higher mind or our higher self.
right.
And is our higher self like us in the future, or could it possibly
No,
be, no?
I don't think it has anything to do with time. It's more us outside of time, us outside of time space.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it
So it's not
really
much
has to do with our consciousness,
right.
because our consciousness is what actually is, there's space time and time space. Our consciousness actually works in time space, the other side. And that's where all the information is. That's where the Akashic records are. That's where everything is essentially. And we just we connect to source with the ether with different ways and whatnot too, right? So there's a lot of interesting things there. But yeah, the higher mind. The reason I asked that question was it was brought up the fact that I had saved myself on the ship and on the Octarian ship, and um, like, was it my higher self that said, "Okay," because my heart stopped, so something had to happen. So was it my higher self that said, "Okay, let's get that ship and let's do this"?
Um, I guess you could look at it that way. I mean, it's all connected to source, to begin with.
Yeah,
So it's like really source, but using your higher self to do it. Like it's okay. I mean, it's almost like a video game in a way, like your avatar is being controlled by you playing the game, but
yeah,
it's your brain that's really making your hands function and you play the. And so
yeah,
really, like, if you look at source as the brain and then you as the player, and then your body is just the avatar that you're playing. So I guess maybe
yeah.
that's the way to look at it, sort of.
So
Just a
so
guess,
the consciousness again is the one that's directly connected to source essentially, right? And that's what we're actually trying to do on Terra right now, is we're trying to bring up the universal consciousness of
Mhm.
everyone by having our higher frequencies and helping other star seeds and other people. Like, everybody that watches your show is affected in one way or another, and maybe they don't even know it yet because they're not ready for that to come out. But there's layers of information there that are going to come out in time, right? That's the way I always think about things.
Just planting the seeds, we're just
Yeah,
we're just planting seeds and we're leading horses to water.
yeah, that's
I
right.
call I call myself a horse to water leader.
Okay, that's a new one. I'll have to use that and embarrass you at some point with that one. But that's cool though. No, because, and like you said, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Yeah, you can't
So
shove their face down or drink this water. Doesn't work like that.
yeah, that they have to choose to do it themselves in their own time and
Free,
in their own
free
way,
will. Yep,
right?
it's
Because
all
we all
about.
have our different ways. But again, it's counterintuitive. What you need to do is you make yourself very calm, and um, most people have a hard time with that because of all the society that's around them, and watching the war on TV, and all those things. So, like, I know that you don't watch TV, you said don't even have one, which is awesome, right? I think everyone should do that actually. But they're all watching. But the thing about what's going on right now is it's called the storm, and it's actually part of the queue, the first one that we did.
Yeah.
And um, like, for me, for example, I went through trauma to get to my point. That's what woke me up. Trauma woke me up. and other people's stories are like that as well too. But the only way that people are going to change sometimes is to shock them. They have to be shocked, and
Hmm.
that's what they're doing right now, and that's what the storm is about. It's essentially saying, look at this is how bad it can get, and wake the f up,
Right.
right? So that and that's and as people wake up, the consciousness level of the planet starts to go up, and
Right.
we head more towards fifth density. And once we get to the point where we're not trying to blow ourselves up, essentially on the planet, that's when the Galactic Federation is going to say, okay, you guys are officially a member, because we're not actually a member yet until we get to that point where we're not trying to destroy ourselves or the planet, right?
Right. And when you say ourselves and us, it's hard for me to relate to that because I personally, I this is the thing that people say things like, well, we've destroyed the planet, we've done this, we've done that, and kind of lump humanity all together. And I'm like, I'm not those assholes. I don't do that shit. Like
That's
I
right.
don't go. I pick up other people's trash. Like I don't go around polluting the planet. I mean,
Yep.
not on purpose. If I do anything, it's because of the way the system is and the way it's been set up, but not
Yep.
because I personally went out and said, oh, today I think I'm going to F up the planet. Like
Yep.
I don't have any desire to do that. If anything, I want to help it. I want to fix it. And I think a lot of people are like that. And I'm just tired of all humanity being lumped together and being like chided like children, like you did this. No, motherfuckers, we didn't do this. You fucking did it because
Yep.
you're the elite assholes that were in control and
Yep.
took over. So I'm sorry if I'm using a lot of, but I just sometimes I try not to get
No,
angry and I to get triggered. But it's just like I'm
that's
tired
okay.
of people blaming all of humanity for like a group of people that were a bunch of fucking assholes
A
and that
very
were in
small
charge.
group. Yeah, very small group.
Yeah, and they're a very small group. And they were in control. And yes, we allowed it, blah, blah, blah. But when you put people in a trance, literally, because you have access to esoteric knowledge that nobody else has access to, and you can literally control people, and then
Yep.
you blame them for being controlled. I mean, what the fuck? Literally. Like,
Yeah.
that's not right. Like, don't blame humanity for something that they're literally like children at
Yeah.
that, because they have been so manipulated and so traumatized that they don't even know. Like they've been traumatized for generations, you
That's
know,
correct. Yep.
generations they've been traumatized,
Yeah.
and we're just now beginning to find out what all was done to humanity for
It's
hundreds of years and for thousands of years. So
thousands of years.
I
Yeah.
mean, if this is true, like I don't even really know what's true or real anymore. But if it's true, then why are people being blamed for something that they were not even in control of, and
Yeah.
then told that we are the ones who destroyed Earth?
So
No, we didn't.
it was actually 372,000 BC when the Anunnaki showed up with Enlil and Enki. And that's kind of where it actually started. So that's actually how long it's been. And the other thing is that, like you said, there were esoteric, like magic, black magic, really, right? But there were also technologies, and there were reptilians and greys. So there's species that were here,
Strictly.
that the Draco, yeah, exactly, right. All of these species that were here controlling everything. And I think it was in 2021 when they finally captured they're called Eben, Eban,
Even, yeah.
Ebens, and they captured them, and then they were able to get, somehow they tricked them into getting the frequencies, because it's always about getting these frequency keys. And I don't know exactly how they did it, but they were able to capture them, get the frequency keys, and then they started shutting stuff off, like on the moon. There was things going on there. And then in Saturn too, there was stuff going on. So there was energies coming in from Saturn and the moon that were being focused on Earth to put us in this like haze kind of black magic, really, is a good way
We
to
were
describe it,
literally
right?
spellbound. We were literally spellbound. And there were a few
Yeah.
people. we're able to break the spell and see through it, and that we're trying to warn us and trying to tell us, which, you know, most of those people got killed, but they were still able to get the message out, and some people were picking up on it. And it wasn't until, I'm going to say, probably around the 80s or so, when things started to change, when energies started to change in order for there to be, you know, a break in all of this.
Right.
So it gradually happened. It was very, very gradual. But and it was really 2012, and people think that that was bullshit, but it was not a physical end of the world. It was the beginning of a new era. And
Age, a new age, yeah.
well, people don't like to use new age because it sounds like
Yeah.
new
Yeah, new
woo-woo.
age, yeah.
But
But
it
like you
was a
said,
new era. It was a new era of time, a new beginning, a new Kali Yuga, or whatever you want to call it. It
yeah,
was a new wheel in the time, you know,
yeah.
in the
Dave
whatever.
just sent a text, or not a text, but a thing. Gen Z just sent something,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when we're in the middle of that, Frank sent a text to me too, Frank Chili. So it was funny. He said something about the girls are just lovely. So that's great. Um, the next one is something that you're really good at. You're good at disappearing too. Actually, there you are.
Yeah.
There you're gone again. That's awesome. She, this is magic, but this is white magic, good magic.
No, it's not bad magic.
It's not magic. It's just you leaning down and it disappears. Okay, so the next one is remote viewing.
Okay.
What do you have to say about that? Because I know that you know people, and I know that you remote view.
Well, yeah, I'm not that good at it yet. I'm just learning. But I have a different way of doing it than there's so many different types of remote viewing and different
Right.
techniques, and everybody
Yeah.
has their own way. There's some people that like to use targets, and that's good. I mean, that's people that can do that. That's amazing because I mean, Ingo Swann was when I first was introduced to it, when I started reading stuff about him. And then
Yeah.
I got a bunch of his books and I started reading all of his books. He's amazing. I highly recommend Ingo Swann. It's INGOSWAN.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
very amazing stories about how he did this. And so, yeah, I think that there's some people that can do that, that just have the ability. Just they can just remote, like you can give them a name of somebody, or you can just tell them, I'm looking for this person, and they can just find them. And
Like Zoe, the other day
really,
you told me
yeah, and
about.
I don't know if it's remote viewing or if it's just her psychic abilities, but like there was somebody that my daughter had a friend that was missing, and we didn't know where he was, and it was in a very volatile part of the world. It was very scary,
Yeah.
and we were worried about him, and he had been missing for 5 days, so that was very scary, and he had a young baby and a wife that were worried about him. So I asked my friend Zoe, and she really looked it up. She looked it up. I don't know how to say it any other way. She's like, let me focus, just, and she was just going like this, and then she just started
Oh,
seeing things.
were you watching her like on a Zoom
Yeah,
call when she was doing it?
we were on Signal, on a Signal chat, and she was,
Yeah.
yeah, and she was just seeing it in front of her
Wow.
and telling me what she saw, you know. So it's pretty cool. I guess that is a type of remote viewing. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
And
what that
and
is.
then and then what happened? Because you told me more of the
Oh,
story.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
So they did find him a couple hours later.
Yeah.
And he lost his phone, and he was confused because she said, I see him, he looks confused. And she said what color shirt he had on, and he did have that color.
Yeah.
And she described what he looked like, and that's what he looked like, you know. So
Wow.
it
So it's
was,
like zooming in right into that area. Also
right,
Rebecca Rose can do that too.
yeah,
She's highly, highly intuitive, and she can just go to exactly where you ask her. Because when you do the Akashic readings with her, you're able to talk to her as we go. And like I said, where's my home? And she said all these different stars lit up. And I said, well, but where's my home? And she went further and further. And then eventually she actually went right back to Fractal of Source. Can you imagine going back and seeing that? She said it was so beautiful. I was like, wow, that's amazing, you know, and that's me. That was my fractal of source that she saw coming off, right? Like
Yeah.
that's and I don't know that if that's remote viewing. I don't really think so. I think it's her highly tuned psychic abilities.
Right. That's what I'm saying that I think was with Zoe. It's more of a psychic ability, but I'm not remote viewing. I feel like is a different, the people that I know that do it are more like clinical. It's more like here's your target and they give you a number and letters and a number, and
Yeah,
then you go with those, and from that you are able to view something. And I can't do it that way. That's not the way it works for me. For me, it's
yeah,
just me seeing something. Yeah.
yeah. And we were talking about that because for me, if I want, all I do is I focus my intent on something, and then if I want that, I'll just put it in the back of my mind and just carry on with my day. And you know,
Yes.
maybe I'll sit and listen to the stereo and meditate, maybe not, or maybe it comes a couple days later, but it just sort of sits there and simmers.
Hmm.
And then soon enough, either it come for me, it's usually tactile, so it's in books or information or something like that, that
Yeah.
comes to me, right? Yeah. So the next one is the rainbow body Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay, wait, hold on a second. Okay.
Yeah,
Rainbow.
because I think we had a
We had a
um
rainbow body.
yeah, you brought up a picture and showed it to me earlier,
I'm
and it
trying
was
to, yeah.
really cool. Yeah, we'll get it up.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's coming up, and it's really interesting because I looked at it and I saw it immediately. You can actually see his image there,
Yes.
and for
You can see
me,
the rainbow. There's like if you look behind his head, that wall is black. So if you look
yeah,
closely, you see like a rainbow hue to the wall that's coming off. It's emanating from the torso and the head of this person. And you can see it's actually just a torso that's shrunken. It's a whole body that was shrunken. And that's what happens after they die. These Buddhist monks, the really high level ones, are able
yeah,
to shrink their bodies all the way to till it becomes very, very small. And it takes several weeks. It doesn't happen all overnight, but some of them happen even faster. And then they're able to they turn literally into light. They turn literally.
wow,
It's pretty amazing.
no kidding. That is so interesting. And this would be probably in Tibet, I would think, or something like that, right?
Yes, it's Tibetan. I'll show you the rest of the article because it goes into a little bit more detail about what it is and
Right.
how it works. So yeah, it just says there it shows the small rainbow body after 7 days of continuous practice following the final outer breath, ordinarily called death, and that he's a practitioner of a certain monastery, that he studied with the greats,
Yeah.
and that moreover he received teachings, and then he was able to do this. It says to the signs besides the shrinking of the body, there appear lights and rays as well as snowfall during sunshine, as depicted here.
Oh, wow.
So that's really cool.
We were talking about the snowfall earlier and how in like really dry snow you get snowflakes that are always completely different than themselves. But when I saw that snow from sunshine, I was so excited because I love snow. And Lígia was probably the opposite. We
Mm,
did the pendulum thing, actually, didn't we? Remember doing the pendulum thing and
yeah,
asking about snow, and it said no, she doesn't like snow
yeah, yeah.
because she's had too much of it. I think because you grew up in yeah, the eastern seaboard is actually pretty can be pretty crazy when it comes to storms and snow and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. Where I grew up, it was not, yeah, it was not a good thing. It was the lake effect snow, and it was beautiful though. I will
Yeah.
say, I mean, it's very crystalline. It's very dry certain times, not always, but if when it's the lake effect one, each individual snowflake, you can see the details, the geometric details of each individual snowflake as it falls when it's that crystalline kind. and it just sparkles and shines like diamonds. It's beautiful.
So you know what comes to mind when we talk about this is something that we'll talk about later is cymatics, where you put
Yes,
sand
it looks
and
like that.
make it, yeah. So what I just thought of right now is all of those snowflakes are different frequencies.
Yeah,
Because a cymatics pattern is nothing but a standing wave pattern at a certain frequency. That's all that
right.
it is. So snowflake is taking that light. It must be taking the light or the light changes into a snowflake. I don't know because it
I
said snowflake from sunshine, right?
wonder if you can, I wonder if you can hear the sound of snow. If
Wow.
if each
Wow.
snowflake represents a
You,
frequency, then can you
yeah,
hear
exactly. You just wowed me because
it?
that's
And
true
I'm
though.
not even high.
Because actually, when we look at subquantum kinetics and all that, we get down to the Turing wave, which is the very building blocks of our universe. Um, yeah, they're just frequent. It's all just frequencies. And even Thorhan, who's Elena's husband, he was a fleet commander when I put my anti-gravity papers out, and Elena had them, and Dr. Sal had them, and everything.
Yeah.
But he said that in some of his writing, and his writings are beautiful. Actually, I had my brother read the one about love, and he came back and he goes, "It's like poetry." I said, "Oh, it's so beautiful. It's insane." I don't think he read it because it's in the second book. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
something that yeah you'll have to check out for sure. But he said that sound is all, I think, and like I say it two ways: sound is all, and all is sound. And I can't remember which way that Thorhan said it in the book, but it's true. Everything is just frequencies at the
Well,
very
yeah.
level.
If you think about love, they say all is love and love is all. Love and sound, are they connected somehow?
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
and we also know that water has the same frequency as love.
right.
We know that, right? So that's why we really have to treat the planet well and make sure that the water thing is good. I took mechanical engineering technology, and my design project for my big last final design project was a water filter, actually. So
Cool.
just so that, yeah. So yeah, and the last one is divine downloads. I think everyone probably gets them. I
Yeah,
think.
I
Yeah.
would think, I would hope. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the way to get them is just to be still and be quiet and hear, be just hear the voice of them, like because if you're flooding your mind with too much external stuff, and that's the problem. Why, if you're not getting the divine downloads, it's possibly
Right.
because you're just cluttering your area and your space with too much sound that's not sound and other distractions. They're not
Yeah.
allowing you to let the downloads in because, you know, that's really when you get them is when you're quiet.
So it
And
sounds like you said you go out into nature and meditate. So that would be you're going out to get a divine download essentially. Because
I
I
get
I do the
when
same
I'm
thing.
yeah, when I'm in nature, and then also I didn't mention the other ways I meditate is just laying flat on my bed. And like I can do it any time, but I tend to do it before I go to sleep or in the morning before I wake up or
Okay.
as I'm waking up, just
Yeah.
laying there for an extra few more minutes and just allowing myself to not, the sad thing is that most people, and I used to do this, you have an alarm clock, and so you hit it wakes you up, and then you jump out of bed, or you keep hitting snooze, and but you're still anticipating it happening again, and so
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
really at peace. You're not really,
Yeah.
So if you do, I don't use an alarm clock. I don't use a clock anymore at all. I don't use any alarm
Gotcha.
clock. I don't sleep with my phone in my room. I don't use anything. I don't have any electronic smog in my room at all. Nothing
Wow.
electronic in here.
Cool.
The thing I have is my digital clock over there. It's just a clock, nothing else, and
Yeah.
my lamps, and that's it. So there's nothing else that's going to clog me. Um, and then, so if you're laying in a room where you don't have any digital smog, and you're just laying in a bed, completely relaxed, and you're not thinking about what time it is or, oh, I have to go here or do that. And you can just stay relaxed for a few minutes. You will
Yeah.
most likely be more open to getting some kind of a download, because
Oh, okay.
uh, you're not you're in that space where you're relaxed and you're going to be able to receive. So yeah, that's what I do.
Wow. That is so cool. Yeah. And again, everybody probably has a little bit of a different technique, but I
Yeah,
think the main part is laying still and quietness.
or
Um,
sitting still, either whatever you're comfortable with. Some people like to sit in the lotus posture, which is nothing wrong with that because they want their spine to be erect and they feel like
right.
that's their, the way that they practice Kundalini or whatever. And if that's what you do, that's great. But I personally prefer to lay flat, and that works better for me. But
Wow.
everyone's
That is
different.
so cool.
And it's
So
not that I
cool.
can't, because I do like yoga. I like to practice different types of hatha yoga as well, where you're sitting in different positions and you're doing different, the different postures and positions. Um, but I don't meditate that way. I've tried it and it just doesn't, it's hard. It's just too difficult for me to
Yeah.
sit up and meditate. It's just not my thing, but everybody's different.
I'll never forget this. I was laying in my bed and I was doing a meditation with Thorhan and those Ahuran meditations. And in a really kind of a military kind of voice, he said, "You have to get up and sit for this." And I was just back from a hospital and a surgery, and I couldn't really do that. It took me about 20 minutes to get out of bed and get back but I did finally meditate the way that he said. But I'll never forget that because he didn't like me laying down and doing it, which is
Yeah.
interesting, right? So like, everybody has their different ways, which is so
Everybody,
cool.
whatever works for you. There's no one right way or wrong way to meditate. It's
Yeah.
whatever works for you, wherever you're in peace, wherever you can feel at peace. That's really
And and focus your intent. Are you focusing your intent or are you just completely not doing that?
it, either way. It depends on what kind of meditation you're doing, because there's different types
Yeah,
of meditation. There's the kind where
right.
you are focusing your intent on something because you're trying to make something happen. There's another one where you're just not thinking of anything at all because you just want to put yourself in that space where
So
you're
if you're not thinking of anything at all, that would be more attuned to getting a download, a celestial download,
receive
right?
easier if you're not
Yeah.
thinking anything. Right. You'll be receiving
Wow.
something.
So cool. I learned a lot today. Wow. Yeah.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad I could help. I'm glad that we did this, and I'm learning things too. I'm learning all the time. I don't really know anything anyway, for sure. That's the thing I always say. The only thing I know for sure is that I don't know anything.
And one thing about Lígia is she if she doesn't know, she's going to go and try and find out because she's very curious
Well,
and inquisitive,
I
right?
am curious, yes, but I don't
Yeah.
ever feel like I'm going to know anything for sure in this density, because in this world, it's very difficult to know what's real and what's not real,
Yeah.
what's true and so I don't. If I don't find out, it's not gonna be like oh my God, you know, this is horrible. It's just it is what it is. But I know
So
that eventually someday I will be out of this body and I won't be in a limited avatar that keeps me from doing something. Or as you like
yeah.
say, like when I say meat suit, you like it. You think it's funny when I say meat suit.
I totally do because I won't say how she first said it to me, but the story that she said was so funny and I just started laughing. But yeah, meat suit is right because we're very limited in our 3D here. There's sounds and frequencies and just all kinds of energies that we can't even comprehend, right?
Well,
That's the thing.
right, but it's getting better, and we're going to slowly, raise our frequencies and our, we'll be able to get better at it. But you know, but still it's somewhat limited. It's just, we can do a lot. There's a lot that we can do in these suits because we still have the powers and the abilities that we came here with. But we
Our
just have, it's just like, you know, it's just like trying to sew with gloves on, you know.
Yeah,
It's it's
because we still have our consciousness. That's the thing. I think that's the key to it all. And
right.
our good friend Frank Chili, that's all he ever talks about is consciousness.
Yeah.
Um, even in William Tompkins' Solar Warden and how the ships use the consciousness to fly, for example.
Right.
And yeah, so it's all very, very interesting. So
Well,
cool.
it's been great. I appreciate you coming on and going through all of this with me. And this is a brilliant discussion. I always look forward to having these with you.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next ones. We'll see you guys again soon. And thank you again for having
Yes.
me on. And we want more of this.
More, more, more. Thanks
That's
everybody. Thanks everybody for hanging in there and for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
bye.